chances down the field, or you just don't think that you have the personnel that can really stretch the field?
Well, I think it's probably a combination of both. I mean, I think it's a combination of both. I think, you look at it, last week we had our opportunities to make some big plays and we didn't capitalize on them, where we had 4 or 5 opportunities a week ago and we didn't capitalize on them. This one, we only really threw one deep catchable ball today, and that received pass interference. The only other one that I can really remember that we threw down the field, we overthrew Evan Landy over on that sideline. So it's a matter, is it our scheme? Is it who we're doing it with? Is it how we're doing it? And that's what we got to take a hard look at, because I don't know what BJ's numbers were, but probably pretty good in the completion percentage, but 1 of 11 on third down really kind of makes that kind of irrelevant.
Normally you hold West Virginia under 100 yards rushing against beat them. This is a little bit of a different Mountaineer offensive team.
Well, not if you score 6 points. Really, you hold them under 100 yards, and I don't think really the passing game hurt us. They had the one big third down play, but I don't think this was a thing where the passing game really just went up and down the field and really hurt us, and they put up a whole bunch of points. I think this was a matter. I thought our defense played great. We kept the ball in front of us. We made them snap it again. Played physical up front, but we couldn't score on offense. But I certainly think our defense played well enough to win. And I give West Virginia credit, because they didn't turn it over. They did throw it as many times as they did. But, in the second half, we've got to throw it, and they're trying to run out the clock and run a 4-minute offense and punt the ball away.
Coach, you called BJ a centerpiece of the offense last week. Do you still feel like he can, after today and after last week's struggles, do you still feel like he can handle that kind of a load for your team?
What do you mean the centerpiece? Last week we tried to take a lot of the pressure off of him. Right. Last couple of weeks we've been in much more 2 backs, running the ball, trying to take the pressure off of the quarterback. We came back into it tonight with a couple weeks of practice and some of the things we did, and what Coach Fitch and the offensive coaches felt like we could do to turn and try and attack this as a defense, and felt like BJ, with what he was doing in practice, could turn and do it. And I thought outside of the 3 turnovers, he threw the ball accurately, but we're not getting the ball down the field enough, or there aren't enough opportunities down the field, and we have got to put some points up. We're playing way too well on defense, and they deserve better.
Skip, do you second guess yourself at all for just not getting out of the first half when you're on your 14?
Yeah, I said that a minute ago. I said I'd take some of that blame. I should have learned something in Florida and should have gotten out of it. I can tell you my thought process at the time, and I even said to BJ, just going to run something over by the sideline, be good with the ball. If it isn't there, throw it out of bounds, and we'll go from there. Like I said, they didn't have any timeouts. I knew on an incomplete pass I could run it on 2nd and 3rd, and we could turn and get out of the half because they couldn't stop the clock. But so yeah, I do. I take some of the blame. I should have turned and just run the ball, and turned and said, you know what, we get the ball to start the second half.
Guys, let's do one more.
Skip, you've had 2 or 3 games where obviously interceptions have kept you from being in a game you otherwise would be in. Is there a point in which you start looking at other options at quarterback right now?
I just got to sit down and look at the film before I answer that question. I need to be fair to everybody involved, and I think there's a lot of things we got to look at. I think we got to look hard at our offense. Our offense right now is not very productive. It's bad. It really is. Like I said, we've scored 9 points in 2 weeks, and our defense has given up 13 points a game. 13 points in the last 2 weeks. We got to take a long, hard look at, as I said, what we're doing, how we're doing it, and who we're doing it with. But I don't think it's a lack of desire or want to, or passion or commitment or any of those things, lackadaisicalness. Just right now, we've got to find some answers on offense. And I'm not talking about just personnel. I'm talking about coaches, scheme. Nobody needs to point a finger on the offensive side of the ball right now. We all need to look at ourselves and what we're doing and what we got to do to get it straight.